Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow and I am back with an all new video. Today's topic is a mini behind the veil energy read into Steffi Graf and Agassi. And again, even if you think this is a video that you are not going to enjoy, I think otherwise. So I encourage you to stick around and find out for yourself. Because here's why. I'm in my red pill era. I have a red lip. I'm in the red pill era. So if you put a video on and you see me wearing a red lip, we're going there. And I actually, even though this video is not sponsored by this company, I actually, not only do I think this is like the perfect red lip, but in addition to that, I love the name of it. So I'm going to share it with you, because I find it to be rather apropos. So first of all, this is a brand that I found in Target. I hope I'm not poisoning myself by wearing it. The brand name is ColourPop. It's a lippy sticks, and the name is Trust Me. So ColourPop, lippy sticks, trust me. Because you, in fact, can trust me that when I'm in my red pill era and I am wearing a red lip, the goods that the guides bring are going to be poppin', just like the information in this video. So again, I remind you, anytime you put on a video, even if you think by looking at the thumbnail picture or the topic, put the video on, see if I'm wearing a red lip. If I am, we're going to be debunking the myths of the world that we see around us. And if you are not familiar with the term red pill, it's an expression from the movie The Matrix, where Neo, the main character played by Keanu Reeves, is given an opportunity to either take a blue pill and to go back to sleep and forget everything that he had experienced with Morpheus, or he can take the red pill and he can begin to see the world as it genuinely and truly is, without a veil. So we are dismantling the veil, guys. We're going there. I got the red lip. Let's do it. So as I had said at the top, today's video is a mini behind the veil energy read into the tennis players Steffi Graf and Agassi. Now, before we get into the energy on these two, I'm first going to start by sharing some very brief three-dimensional information into them. So this is literally, I can't believe I just said it like that. That's so obnoxious. Who says no one says literally that way. We're like literal. No, I said it like literally. Like, who do I think I am? Anyway, it's literally the first paragraph of their Wikipedia pages. So, Stephanie Marie Graf, born on June 14th, 1969, literally, is a German professional tennis player. Guys, you gotta have some fun in life. That's all I gotta say about that. She won 22 major single titles, the second most in women's singles since the start of the Open era in 1968. Now, I was like, Open era, what the fuck does that mean? So I looked that up in case you yourself were like, what the fuck does the Open era mean? The Open era began in 1968 when Grand Slam tournaments agreed to allow professional players to compete with amateurs. Prior to that, only amateurs could compete, and thus eradicated the day and age of amateur players having any chance whatsoever. 2% personal opinion. So anyway, Steffi won 22 major single titles, the second most in women's singles since the start of the Open era in 1968, and the third most of all time. She also won a gold, a silver, and a bronze in various Olympic Games. She has an estimated net worth of $30 million. Now, Agassi, according to his Wikipedia page, Andre Kirk Agassi, born on April 29th, 1970, is a former world #1 tennis player. He is an 8-time major champion, Olympic gold medalist, and a runner-up in 7 other majors. Agassi is the second of 5 men in the Open era to achieve the career Grand Slam. And the Grand Slam is when a player wins all 4 major titles consecutively in 1 year. What those 4 major titles are, I don't know. My patience for 3-dimensional information researching had run out at that point. And yes, even though in Wikipedia, you can literally just click it and it will tell you, I was like, no, man, no. I already clicked like, what is the Open era? My patience had run out. So he has an estimated net worth of $145 million. The relationship timeline for these two is that they started dating in 1999 and they had married in 2001. Prior to Andre Agassi marrying Steffi Graf, he had been married to the actress and model Brooke Shields from 1997 until 1999. Now let's see what their energy wanted to share with me. I remind you, red lip era, red pill era. Here we go. Buckle up, buttercups. Steffi Graf. Energy. Steffi Graf smirks and says, he still can't believe so few see it. Even now. Like, is the cognitive dissonance that strong? Apparently it is. Like, how did no one see that Andre married 2 rather butch-looking women? People just amaze him, but in the opposite way that people amaze Morgan Freeman. And if you're like, I don't know what he means by Morgan Freeman, it's something I had looked into for the next AMA. You can kind of keep this in mind for the Morgan Freeman segment. And again, as I always share with you, I don't take liberty with what comes in. So even if I'm going to be sharing this video prior to the AMA where I talk about Morgan Freeman's energy, I'm not taking liberty. This is what came in. I go with it. I do not edit it. I will only add context if necessary. And the only context I'm adding here is you're just going to have to wait for the next AMA to come out to see the way in which people amaze Morgan Freeman. But even without knowing how people amaze Morgan Freeman, it's different than the way people amaze Steffi Graf. Because we amaze Steffi Graf with our stupidity and us not seeing what is so obvious before our eyes. This is Steffi Graf's sentiment, what I'm about to share next. These are not my sentiments. I really need to drive that point home. Steffi Graf says, okay, losers. Whatever. Enjoy our simple, meaningless lives, eating Cocoa Pebbles for breakfast and Taco Bell for dinner. And I was like, Steffi Graf, have you been poking around my energy? How do you know that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't eat that garbage. But I find it to be very telling that this is the assumptions that Steffi Graf has about our lives. So yeah, okay, losers, whatever. Enjoy our simple, meaningless lives, eating Cocoa Pebbles for breakfast and Taco Bell for dinner. No wonder we're all so stupid, says Steffi Graf. We poison ourselves and no one asks any questions. Like, have we had one good meal in our entire meaningless lives? Probably not. Because we have no money, and rightfully so. I mean, says the person that's worth $30 million. It's easy to throw shade when you're standing in the literal shade. Come stand in the sun with us, Steffi. So yeah, have we ever had one good meal in our life? Probably not, because we have no money. And rightfully so. Because according to Steffi Graf, the world that he lives in would be a dangerous place if we could actually control our own lives, and we'd ruin it for all of them. So we can take our MAGA hats and eat them for all he cares. Because if Trump gets back into office, too many of us will think we actually matter, and they, as in the elite, of which Steffi is a member of, don't want that. Now, that concludes the energy reading portion into Steffi Graf. We are now going to look into the energy of Andre Agassi and see what he wanted to share. So Andre Agassi shares the same sentiment as Steffi, though much more gentle about it and in his thinking and his approach to it. In general, Andre is much more gentle, and he, as in Steffi, has always been the more aggressive and the more assertive partner between the two of them. And Steffi is always trying to recruit Andre to his way of thinking. As in, we have meaningless lives and we're all losers and we can eat our fucking MAGA hats and it's better if we're all poor. Because if we had any sense of our empowerment, it would ruin it for them. So Steffi is always trying to recruit Andre to his way of thinking. It works, Andre revealed to me, in varying degrees, or varying no degrees, but Andre has learned to smile and nod along even if he does not agree at all. It's just easier that way, is what Andre has concluded. And being part of the club and being matched together, as in Andre and Steffi Graf being placed together, after being with Brooke, who he was married to from 1997 until 1999, who he was totally incompatible with, since then he has learned to keep quiet, smile, and just nod along politely. Now, it's at this time where Andre Agassi had brought up Brooke Shields, kind of got my mind activated. And I was like, I wonder if he wants to share with me something about his time with Brooke Shields. Now, if you are curious about Brooke Shields, I have previously looked into her for a previous, I'm saying previous a lot, yes. I have previously looked into Brooke for a previous segment in a previous AMA. Like, how many times can I say previous in one 30-second time span? Apparently 3 is my limit. Which I have linked down for you below if you would like to go back and view it, or if you have seen it and you would like to get a slight refresher course on it. Just for a little additional context. But, you know, he brought up his time with Brooke and how they were completely and wholly incompatible, and I was like, I wonder if he wants to share anything with me. So I asked him. And again, I remind you, it's not like I'm verbally asking Andre Agassi the way in which I am verbally sharing words and thoughts with you. This is on an energetic level. Now, energy does not interact the way verbal communication interacts because, you know, unless you're a mind reader or you have telepathic abilities, which we all do, we just don't know it yet, we would need to actually be able to conversate and share words for a person to know what we were thinking. However, on an energetic level, it doesn't work like that because energy operates very much the way the wind does, and a chain link fence is not going to hold the wind back. It's going to go right the fuck through it. So I want you to look at the barriers, like the barriers of my mind, the barriers of Andre Agassi's mind, as if it's a chain link fence, and the energy is like the wind. So the barriers of our mind are not going to hold any of the thoughts back because all energetic communication is done telepathically. So my thoughts are laid bare to Andre Agassi's, just as his thoughts on an energetic, I promise I can talk, on an energetic level are laid bare to me as well. So it's not like I had to say, oh, can you share with me something about your time with Brooke Shields? It was like my mind was open. I was thinking, oh, he's talking about Brooke. I wonder if he'll share with me, to which he did, because telepathically he could see that I was wondering about that. So as my mind was activated at this point, and he had seen that I was wondering about Brooke Shields, he sighed and he said they both knew from day one it was a really bad fit. They had nothing in common, and at the point that they realized they had nothing in common, barely said 2 words to one another when they were alone. And it became rather evident early on that trying to talk to one another felt more like a chore than anything else. So if you're wondering if their pairing together was real, he's sharing no. Just like Andre Agassi was placed with Steffi Graf subsequently after divorcing Brooke Shields, he was also placed together with Brooke Shields. That's why they had nothing in common, and they still got married. That's why they realized from day one they were completely incompatible with one another. Didn't matter. So they realized they had nothing in common, and even attempting to talk to one another was a chore. And then, oh boy, posing together and acting like they were so happy and they were so in love. He always said afterwards that they both deserved an Academy Award, even though he was not even an actor and Brooke was not a very good one, according to Andre Agassi anyway. The only reason they were even allowed to end the relationship, because this does not typically happen, was because Brooke had become suicidal and was in fact even threatening to do it. She was inconsolable and she would lock herself in her room, because they did not even have a shared room. They were not even sleeping together, let alone sleeping in the same room together. So she would lock herself in her room and she would cry for hours. And Andre had shared with me he did not know who he could call, so he ended up calling her agent, and her agent came over one day with iced coffee and donuts. The agent knocked on the door and said, "Brooke, honey." And before he could say even another word, the door flew open. Brooke's agent was pulled inside, and then just as rapidly, the door was slammed shut behind him. And they were alone in Brooke's room together for hours, up until the point when it was starting to even become dark out. Then the agent came out, told Andre to leave Brooke alone, not that he had any choice in the matter because she was locking herself in her room. And he had patted Andre Agassi on the back, and he said, it's going to take some pulling of strings, but it would get taken care of. And Andre shared with me at that point that he remembered just standing there and hearing like the agent say these words, it's going to get taken care of. And it was like so like flippant, like, oh, as if they have termites. Don't worry, it's going to get taken care of. It would just get taken care of, right? They have termites. You call an exterminator. It'll just get taken care of. And that was that. And then the next morning, Brooke came out of her room looking thin, and she had dark circles under her eyes, but she actually made an effort to be civil with him. It was like thinking that there was no way out of it had sucked the life out of her. But now, even the prospect of getting out of it, as in this marriage between the two of them, had breathed life back into her. And Andre had shared with me he felt bad because he knew that they were terribly incompatible, But he was still willing to try to make it work with her. Because that's just what you did when you were in the club and you got paired with someone. A happy marriage is not a guarantee. It's not even the objective. The objective is you both know the rules and you both abide by them. And it doesn't matter if you're happy with each other or not, because the stakes are too high at that point. Like literally imagine two men getting married, but it's concealed on the world stage where everybody thinks one of them is a man, one of them is in fact a man, and one of them is a woman, and the one that we think is a woman is not a woman, it's a man. They know the stakes. But when you're born and raised in the club, you know your place, you know the rules, and you know to stick in your lane, and you know to keep your head down and just do as you're told. So he was really willing to make it work because that's just what you did. You took what they gave you and you moved on. But because Brooke was newer to it and not raised in the club like Andre and Steffi were, maybe she just rebelled or she thought it was okay to rebel. But it didn't matter because they got their out in the end. And it was indeed taken care of and they moved on. Brooke moved on with whoever the fuck she ended up marrying. This is Andre sharing it. Like, where I don't even know who the fuck she married, but she moved on with whoever the fuck she had moved on with. And he made her happy. And he had moved on with Steffi, who mostly made himself happy. As in, Steffi lives for Steffi and doesn't live necessarily to make Andre happy. But it didn't matter if Andre was happy or not, because you don't get to marry for love when you're a member of the club. But if you're lucky, you can have some kind of happiness while you do your duty, just as he has done. So that concludes the energy reading into Steffi Graf and Andre Agassi. I hope that you have found this video to be insightful and maybe thought-provoking. This is your reminder to take what resonates and to leave the rest behind. And as always, and until next time, this is your reminder to stay in the high vibration.